Good evening, folks, and welcome to the S&P Sports Show. I'm your host, Sean Stewart, alongside my co-host, Mr. Anthony Paulus. It is November the 3rd, 2022. Glad to have you on this terrific Thursday evening as we're going to get started. And, of course, we're going to be talking about baseball, of course, because last night it was the second time in World Sister history that it was a no-hitter. So how are you doing, Mr. Paulus?
I'm doing good, Sean. Crazy circumstances popped up Tuesday, so I'm sorry I wasn't available. Um, Doing good. Baseball history last night, fights in tunnels. It's been a crazy week in sports. NFL trade deadline was nuts. So yeah, you can say it was a pretty kind of chaotic week in sports between, Saturday to last night, and the NBA season's going now. And I was at that awful Bucks Pistons game last night in Milwaukee. Yeah, they got some work to do, but that's a whole nother subject for another day is the Pistons. That rebuild is far from over. Far. That's another subject once we get more into the NBA season. And the French Riviera Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. So, yeah, baseball last night, no hitter. Like I said, if the Phillies are going to hit, the Phillies got a good chance to win a game. And if the Phillies can't hit, then they're not going to win games. The Phillies have offense, but the Astros usually have the better pitching. And now we got this pivotal Game 5 coming up. And you have Justin Verlander, who they're going to throw on the mound, 0-8 in World Series history. The man's like a beast in every aspect except the World Series. And I happened to see his first World Series loss live in person in 2006. Can Justin Verlander get it done? This could be the biggest game of the rest of his career. I mean, not saying before,
Right.
But in terms of between now till he retires, this could be his biggest performance of his career in this next game. And will he step up? I also have my theories on why the Phillies will end up winning the World Series. Vegas has a weird way of operating. And do you really think Vegas wants to pay Mattress Max $75 million? No. So
Of course
that's my theory on how or why the Phillies will win. It's not even baseball related. It's just on the fact that if the Phillies don't win the World Series, Mattress Mac gets paid $75 million. That's why I feel the Phillies are going to ultimately win the World Series for some weird reason. Because right now, it's like I said, whoever has if the Astros pitch, they're going to win. But if you get pitching like they had the end of Game 1 and Game 3, they're not going to win. So the real question is which Justin Verlander is going to show up? Are you going to get the version that's dominated baseball for every other thing except the World Series? Or are you going to get World Series JV who just falls flat on his face?
Right. As a matter of fact, Game 5 is tonight at 8:03.
Then due to the rain delay.
Exactly.
Due to the rain delay. So Philly sports fans have baseball and football pretty much at the same time.
Especially tonight's game against the Texans.
That game in Philadelphia?
Talk about baseball or the baseball or football?
I'm talking. Well, baseball's in Houston, correct?
The game will be in Philadelphia.
Okay, and what about the football game?
I want to say the NFL game. I'm checking it right now. That is in Houston.
Okay, because let me tell you, there's a reason why I asked that.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
because the Philly Stadium and the link are right next to each other. Could you imagine that parking nightmare?
Oh, I can imagine. And it could take hours to get off the parking lot.
Because the thing is this, in Philadelphia, you've got, you got Lincoln Field, you got the Phillies baseball stadium, and where the Sixers and Flyers play all in this big
Like
parking lot. It's like a big sports metroplex. All three, both stadiums in the baseball in the basketball arena, hockey arena are right next to each other. Like you can walk 1,000 feet and you'll be at the other one.
It's gonna be jam packed.
So Matt, that's the reason why I was asking. But I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now that the Eagles are going to win tonight because the Texans don't have Brandon Cooks or Nico Collins. So they're without their top two wide receivers.
Especially
Davis Mills is going to have a rough night because that Philly secondary is playing pretty damn good right now. And yeah, it's not going to happen. So just go ahead and give the Eagles the win. We don't even need to talk about it. I've already done the talking for both of us. Expect a good fantasy night from, Hurt and Sanders and AJ Brown, and Dallas Goedert will probably get his too. So there you go. From a fantasy perspective. And Pierce, I don't know if he's going to do as well as normal just because who the hell do the Texans have to throw the ball to?
Only thing I could think of is the running game, Dameon Pierce.
That's it. That's why I said. But I don't know because if you don't have all those weapons, he might get more catching balls thrown at him, though. So It's kind of like a conundrum because they're not going to. Who do they really got to throw the ball to? They don't have They don't really have good tight ends, and they're without their two top wide receivers. What do you do? Throw the ball to Philip Dorsett all night?
Good luck with that. Keep doing that.
Exactly. So let's get.
Question I was going to ask.
Yes.
Because like Game 5 is tonight, and also Fox is doing the World Cup, so they're trying to get it done as soon as possible.
Well, they're going to get it done. I mean, the World Cup doesn't start till November 20th.
Exactly. So just in case people want to know about that.
Speaking of the World Cup, me and Sean will be having a special World Cup show in the middle of November. So stay tuned for that official announcement.
Right.
Middle of November. So stay tuned. We'll get that officially out there soon for all you soccer and World Cup fans, and who knows? We may even pick some surprises. But anyways, let's get to college, and then we'll get to the NFL. So, of course, we're going to start off with Michigan State. Okay, biggest rivalry game of the weekend, and it didn't disappoint. I mean, they smash mouthed them. I mean, it was a little bit closer than you thought in the first half, and the problem with Michigan is they're getting down into the 10-yard line area in the red zone, and they're settling for field goals rather than for touchdowns. I don't know if this is a trend or not, but that needs to be addressed before Ohio State. Other than that, I mean, Paul is back to where he should rightfully be, and the after effects of that are despicable.
Okay.
And, these players know better than to hit players with helmets.
Bring that up. That fighting, that was like uncalled for.
You know what? You don't need no cops or anything like that to tell you it's not.
Right.
Dude, they were some sore losers and took out their aggression. I don't care if that dude's ran ahead of the tunnel to skip the line. Dude was trying to go see his dad, who was a trucker, who drives truck. Never heard of any incident before up until that with that. And now all of a sudden it's an issue? Come on.
Like,
Let's
bro,
be real. Bunch of sore losers. And by the way, Tuck ain't coming except with that bail money and getting that fat buyout. Okay? And that comment I'm going to direct towards Mike Valenti and Rico Beard because those two clowns, okay, and I'll call them clowns, okay, tried to deflect as much as they could from that loss. And sometimes when their team loses, they don't even show up on the job the next day. They call in sick when they lose that rivalry game. Or they got a million excuses. Man up. Stop being a chump. Those two act soft as Charmin. Okay? And wet Charmin. Like wet Charmin that you forgot about the groceries in a rainstorm type of Charmin. Okay? Grow a set. Okay? Grow a set. Now, let's talk about other college games. Georgia handled Florida in the cocktail, greatest party on earth. It used to be a lot better till they banned some of the alcohol issues, which is a damn shame with that rivalry. But Florida isn't what it once used to be. Tennessee's handling business. You know, Clemson was on bye. And I'm going to address the Clemson elephant in the room here in a moment because you know where I'm going to come at.
Kansas State blew Oklahoma State by 48.
Listen.
Because they were favored like 1.5.
You know what? Let me say this. Kansas State's a pretty damn good team, and they seem to have those Oklahoma teams' numbers. But I watched that game Saturday, and that Oklahoma State defense was awful. Like, compared to a year ago, I don't know if it's because their defensive coordinator went to Ohio State, but they were showing some stats like 15 plays more a game they're on the field on average and all these other stats. That defense looked awful.
Especially when you give up 48 points. That's terrible.
Much less that offense looked awful, but the defense looked worse. You forced the offense to become one-dimensional, but that was a straight-up beatdown. Like they stole something from their mama and got mad, and then
stole a cookie from the cookie jar or something.
You know, like serious. You know, it was kind of like Denzel Washington, an American Gangster, put $20 in the sugar bowl, you know, popped one in the head and walked back and ate breakfast.
And then Syracuse lost to Notre Dame by almost 20 points.
And let me say this. Unexpected, and it shows how soft the ACC is. Because, you know, Clemson top 4 in the coaches in the first CFP playoff rankings. You were down by 10 to that Syracuse team with 8 minutes left at home and barely won, and then you had your crowd rush the field. And you needed 2 overtimes to beat Wake Forest in a game that both teams combined for 96 points. You barely beat Florida State by 6 points. I'm sorry. You haven't played anybody. You haven't. And your non-conference schedule to start the season was soft, but you'll get credit for playing an SEC team, a bottom feeder one at that, at the end of the season in South Carolina. So, yeah, our non-conference was strong because we played Notre Dame, who's not really all that great this year, but beat the brakes off of Syracuse.
And then let's not forget
they lost to Stanford at home. And dude, Stanford's been getting seriously train smashed by every other team in the Pac-10, 12.
Yeah, Pac-12.
Okay, so
Let's not
and
forget
then you're
about
going to get
TCU.
smashed by that same Notre Dame team at home by 17.
That's awful. That's god
And now
awful.
you got Clemson going to try to go to Notre Dame and justify. Oh, well, it's Notre Dame. It's equality. Dude, it ain't quality. Dude, Notre Dame lost to Marshall, bro.
Right. I remember watching that game, and that was the second time that ever defeated a ranked team.
So, I mean, dude, that Notre Dame game isn't as high as it should be. You know, a normal Notre Dame team compared to this one, no. But, dude, if Clemson goes to Notre Dame and barely comes out with a win here, it's not going to look good.
And then you also
They need to blow them out so they can justify themselves. Because they haven't beat anybody. Everybody they've beat is out of the top 20, I think, this week. Or damn near it. You got North Carolina, who's just a scoring machine but has no defense. The ACC is trash. It's trash.
We call it a crappy conference. That's what it should stand for.
And they're living off of past glory because if they played Michigan, Ohio State, Tennessee, Alabama, or Georgia, they'd get straight taken to school. Because you know what, some of those players on Clemson probably don't even go to school. So, yep, I'm taking my cheap shots tonight. I'm in that kind of mood.
We'll beat Wake Forest by 20.
Dude, they put up 35 points in a quarter on them. That's embarrassing. And it's not like Louisville's all that great of a team. You know, I mean,
good heavens.
The ACC isn't that good. It's just not. There's no defense in that conference. There isn't. Syracuse tricked that game at Clemson, more or less. And then they lived the after effect the following week and let it linger, and then Notre Dame came in and smashed them. Can't say it's a quality conference win or non-conference win against Notre Dame, like I said. Dude, they lost to Marshall, bro.
Like, that's embarrassing.
Like Matthew McConaughey, Marshall, okay? So, dude, Chad Pennington and Randy Moss weren't lighting up the scoreboard, folks, okay?
That's what it looks like.
You know, this isn't 1997 Marshall. Okay, this is 2022 Marshall in the MAC or AAC, wherever the hell they're playing. Okay,
I can check that right
AAC, now. Sun Belt, whatever.
Okay,
they got smoked at home. Dude, this Notre Dame team isn't all that great. They lost to Stanford. It's a joke. And, anyways.
Oh, let's not forget about Penn State blowing it against Ohio State.
You know what? James Franklin.
Blew it again.
Man, the man is not a good in-game coach. If he was a good in-game coach, they might have won on Saturday, and they probably would have beat Michigan last year in Happy Valley if he was a decent in-game coach. But he's not. But the other thing that this game showed, not on Penn State, but Ohio State, is Ohio State can't run the ball. And it was proven on Saturday. Because they were able to throw the ball, but they could not get that running game going. I know their running back got hurt early, but, dude, they got a slew of talent in that offensive line. But, dude, that offensive line wasn't physical enough to handle the Penn State line. You can't say it's just because of a road game that you're playing better. It's a matter of you're a passing team. And I hope if Ohio State's defensive line isn't better than last year or comes up with something, Michigan's going to truck stick them again in the physicality department, just like last year. We know Ohio State can throw the ball. Okay. They got the best receiving core in the country. Okay.
Got it.
But you're going to have to run the ball to beat Michigan. You might get 27, but if Michigan's able to punch it in the end zone, not set up for field goals and run the ball, it's going to almost be like a replay like last year, except in Columbus. You know, the only question to me at this point is how much better will that Ohio State defense be than last year?
Exactly.
Will the defensive coordinator issues matter? I mean, it's almost a lot of the same cast from last year. And besides the one guy last week who had a monster game, you know, other than that, dude, they got 6 turnovers against Iowa. It's Iowa, dude. That offense isn't that good. When you start playing a real team like Penn State, yeah, you got 3 interceptions, but dude, that's Sean Clifford. He's trash. And at that point, a lot of those turnovers were, you know, once the game was out of hand and, you know, the James Franklin effect blew it. And once Sean Clifford threw one, he threw a couple more. That was, dude, J.J. McCarthy ain't Sean Clifford, okay? J.J. McCarthy is not Sean Clifford. So that's not going to happen. So that's the 2 questions with Ohio State. Can you run the ball? Because I'm going to tell you, you're not going to be able to probably run the ball against Michigan. You're not going to be able to run the ball against Georgia.
Oh, heck no.
You probably might be able to run the ball against Tennessee and Alabama.
I can see that.
But you're not going to be able to run the ball against Georgia. So for Ohio State, you want to avoid Georgia, and you need to figure out how to get past Michigan.
Especially that
Ohio State is more made to play Tennessee and Alabama than they are to play Georgia.
Because Georgia can stop the run game. Yes, they can.
And Georgia's defense is good, and dude, they can ball. You know, Ohio State is one-dimensional on offense. The defense, dude, you gave up a lot of points to Penn State, you know. We'll see. Can Ohio State run the ball, and can Ohio State's defense play better than last year? That'll determine the Michigan game. Because if they're one-dimensional and throwing the ball all day, it's going to be a long day.
Exactly. Because we are in week 10 of college football. So the rank is 24th ranked Oregon State will face Washington. That's a 10:30 game, PM game.
I'll take Washington. I like Michael Penix.
Then you got second ranked Ohio State will face against Northwestern. That's more likely a Big Ten network game.
A lot of ugliness.
I can see that. Then you got 17th ranked North Carolina against Virginia. I'll probably watch first quarter of it, see what happens.
Clemson needs North Carolina to keep winning.
Gotcha. Then we don't know about TCU as they'll host against Texas Tech. That's a noon game.
Should be a lot of points. I mean, TCU's got a really good receiver. They should beat Texas Tech. But I expect a lot of offense in that game. Not much defense.
The only concern is when will TCU will lose too. That's the concern is.
Well, if TCU loses, then everybody in the Big Ten is screwed. I mean, the Big 12 is screwed.
Yeah. 19th ranked Tulane will face against Tulsa. That's a noon game.
I'm going to take Tulane. Hey, Tulane's a pick 6 away from being undefeated.
Okay. 25th ranked University of Central Florida will face against Memphis Tigers.
Didn't they beat Cincinnati over the weekend? Believe so. I'll take Central Florida.
Okay. 18th ranked Oklahoma State will face against Kansas because they were undefeated at one point, and now
I'm just gonna take Kansas, man. I'm after seeing that Saturday. There is nothing but upward mobility for that team. I'll take Kansas.
Okay, for an upset. 16th ranked Penn State will face against the Hoosiers.
Is that game at Indiana?
Yeah, Bloomington. Game is in Bloomington.
We'll be close, but Penn State will pull it off.
Okay. 22nd ranked Syracuse will face against University of Pitt. This game is at Pitt.
Let's pick them. I'll take Pitt because they're at home.
Okay. Then the game of the week will be second ranked Tennessee against number one Georgia. I like Georgia in this game because I have a great feeling that Tennessee is going to have issues running the football against Georgia secondary.
I think the physicality of Georgia is just going to be too much.
We both agree Georgia because there's a reason why they're top ranked. Michigan State will head into Champaign, Illinois.
I'll take Illinois.
Okay. 8th ranked Oregon Ducks will head into Colorado.
Oregon all day.
Okay. As in blowout. 23 ranked Liberty will go to Arkansas.
High scoring. Arkansas probably wins it late, but there'll be a lot of points in that game.
Gotcha. 13th ranked Kansas State will host against the Longhorns.
I'll take Kansas State. I think they're for real. I don't know how they lost their games, but damn. I mean, I know you lost to TCU, but you lost. Man.
Then you have 6th ranked Alabama will face against 15th ranked LSU. That game was in Baton Rouge. It's kind of tough.
I'm going to take Alabama because I feel a Brian Kelly choke. So I'll take Alabama.
Just like he did against Florida State at the opening.
Yep.
Exactly. 5th ranked Clemson will play the Irish. That game, of course, is at Notre Dame. So, of course, that game will be on NBC.
I think it's going to be close.
Then you got 4th ranked Michigan.
It'll be close. I want Notre Dame to win. How often would you hear me say I want Notre Dame to win?
You hardly ever said that, to be honest with you.
But if Clemson wins this game, they're going to win the rest of their other games in the regular season. It's soft. And then there'll be the ACC title game, and I don't know who they'll face. Probably North Carolina. So you kind of need North Carolina to lose, or who's ever on the other side of that. And then you need Notre Dame to keep it close, to keep the doubt in people's head. The ACC is trash, like I've been saying.
6th ranked. Oh yeah, I did say that. 4th ranked Michigan will play Rutgers. That's a big BTN game.
I'll take Michigan.
All right. 12th ranked Utah will host against the Arizona Wildcats.
It was snowing up in Utah. I'll go ahead and take Utah.
Okay. 20th ranked Wake Forest will place 21st ranked North Carolina State. The game is at North Carolina State.
I will take Wake Forest because the North Carolina State quarterback is probably not playing.
Okay. 9th ranked USC will be hosting I can see this a blowout, face against California Golden Bears.
It's going to be ugly.
Exactly. And then finally, 10th ranked UCLA will face against Arizona State. That's a 10:30 game.
UCLA should win that game.
Oh, and by the way, Herm Edwards is going to be rehired by ESPN. So go.
Well, you know.
Jackson.
Raiders.
You was going to say something?
No, my son quickly asked me what team did Bo Jackson play on in the Super Tecmo Bowl. And I told him it was the Raiders because he played in his first Tecmo Bowl tournament a couple weeks ago.
Awesome. So, Herm Edwards is back with ESPN. So, because you usually do NFL, he's going to be doing NFL and NCAA football, which you hardly ever hear him do that.
Well, you know, he's talented to do both.
Right. Especially when as an analyst.
So, I mean, he can definitely do it. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Now we did talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and Texas a little bit. Now there's a couple of games I'm looking into this upcoming week. I'm looking forward to the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. Now this game is at New Jersey. Now, if you heard this before, I say this again.
No,
The
chicken
concern
burger.
I have for Buffalo is that secondary stopping the run. That's my only issue is with Buffalo. And the Jets could have won against New England this past weekend. They could have snapped the Patriots winning streak because right now it's 12 right now between those two. Because that game is at 1 o'clock. That's my favorite
I
game.
think the Bills will be fine. I don't think the Jets are as good without Brees Hall and that physicalness. I think they lost something when they lost him. So I'm going to take the Bills on that. The Bills are just playing too damn good right now.
Then, of course, I forgot the Indianapolis Colts will head into Foxborough. That's a 1 o'clock game because the Colts could have beat Washington at Indianapolis.
I'll take the Colts. I don't. I see the Patriots in that.
Okay? Because as a matter of fact, they fired their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, they made a change there. I mean, they don't got Matt Ryan playing. They don't got. There's a lot of issues
Right.
going on right now.
They're in a weird situation because they're second in the AFC South. So it's not over yet.
I'd say it's over. The Colts, I'm pretty sure, are pretty much done. I think. It's the Titans division to lose at this point.
Gotcha. And do you believe that the head coach? Well, I can see the GM staying, and Frank Wright more likely would probably stay. It's not their fault. It's like you were saying, like the injuries.
Yeah, a lot of injuries, and that offensive line is just straight trash.
Then of course you got the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. That's like Fox's game of the week.
Let me just say this now: if the Packers do not win that game, their season's done. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the Lions Super Bowl right here. Okay?
Okay.
Because they would like nothing else than to give the Packers a loss and to force them to be 3-6. The Packers are not a passing team. They're a running team now. Okay? And they can run the ball. They had over 200 yards rushing against the Bills on Sunday night. I didn't know if you knew that. But as a team, 200 yards. They need to stop throwing the damn ball because Aaron Rodgers has no trust in anybody except Robert Tonyan and maybe Alan Lazard. Okay? And who knows if Lazard's going to play Sunday. Okay?
Right. He's questionable.
Dude, give the ball to Aaron Jones, pass the ball to Aaron Jones, run the ball with A.J. Dillon. Simple as that. If they do that, they should beat, which will set up the passing for the Packers. If they try to be all pass happy first and not run the ball, it could be a dogfight. It could be. The Lions have no business winning this game. None. But if they somehow pull off this miracle, there's going to be some issues in Green Bay.
I can see that. And Kevin Buckhart and Greg also will be calling that game, even though that's their first season being a top commentator. I actually like them being a top commentator, to be exact.
It's interesting. I'm not decided on them yet.
Right, because we're so used to Joe Buck and Troy Aikman doing the games.
Well, it's an upgrade because I don't have to listen to Joe Buck, so it's an upgrade.
Right. The LA Chargers will face against the first place NFC South Falcons. That team surprised me, especially Marcus Mariota, because I thought the team was going to be bad.
Man, the Chargers should win this game. They should.
And it's a matter of when they're going to choke. That's the issue is with the Chargers.
Man, I swear the Chargers play down to the lesser teams. They play up for the good teams. and they play downward for the crappy teams. It'll be close. I'll say who's ever got the ball last wins the game. There you go.
Gotcha. And they did defeat
Gerald
the Carolina
Everett, fantasy-wise, probably going to put up some points.
And the Falcons won that game against the Panthers in overtime, because I thought Carolina won that game before it even headed to overtime. Speaking of that.
I mean, all I know is that the tight ends get bad points against the Falcons this year. So,
Gotcha.
fantasy heads, start Gerald Everett if you got him, or if you need a tight end.
The first place NFC North Minnesota Vikings will be heading to Washington.
Close game, because I think Taylor Heineke is way better than Carson Wentz.
You did say that before.
And I've been proven right. Have I not?
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of that, Washington's Daniel Snyder is about to sell the team because he called
About damn time. About time. I think the Commanders will keep it close, but the Vikings should pull it off.
Okay. Then you got the Carolina Panthers will face against the Bengals. I knew the Bengals was not going to play that well against Cleveland, especially Joe Burrow and that offense. I'm glad I benched Joe Burrow.
You know, this is a bounce back game. You don't have Jamar Chase for another couple weeks. They should beat Carolina. They should.
And it's in Cincinnati. You should.
They should. They don't win this, even without Jamar Chase, there's some issues. I'll take the Bengals.
Gotcha. Now, I can see this as a shootout. The Las Vegas Raiders will face against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I can see this as like in a 34-33 type of game.
I don't know if it's going to be 34-33. What I see happening is a lot of yards happening, okay? I see a lot of yards. I see Josh Jacobs and Travis Etienne having big games. I see Christian Kirk probably having a big game. After that, Devontae Adams should have a game.
Because he played bad.
Darren Waller, where have you been? You are MIA.
You are nowhere this year than you did last year.
You got paid fat, and if I was the Raiders, I'd be worried maybe because he's playing so bad. Has he gotten back on the bottle? I know he had a drinking addiction.
Wow.
You know, and he recovered from it, but you're playing bad. That's got to be my theory is there something going on with Darren Waller? I don't know.
Because he used to be a very great tight end.
Man, I don't know what's happened this year. And Josh McDaniels' offenses are usually very tight end friendly, so I don't have the answer.
Gotcha. Then you have the Miami Dolphins will head into Soldier Field.
Well, they got new additions now. They've got Bradley Chubb and Jeff Wilson to complement Raheem Mostert. Depends which Bears team shows up.
Exactly.
Is it going to be the one that played against the Patriots, or is it going to be the one with the defense that gave up 48 points? Because you know the offense has kind of balled out the last 2 weeks. I gotta say that.
Surprisingly.
You know, Claypool, who they acquired from the Steelers, isn't going to be like ready this week, right?
It's going to take 1 week.
But, you know, they've been able to put up points, you know, and fantasy-wise, Khalil Herbert is getting pretty much just as much love as David Montgomery is. So they kind of have like a two-headed monster at running back. But, man, wide receiver-wise, they got nothing. And the Bears, like I said, the Bears have $130 million to play with this offseason. after they traded Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn, they're going to get Justin Fields some weapons, and they're going to probably get a pass rusher and something else, and they're probably still going to have $50 or $60 million left over. I expect the Bears to spend like crazy, and they give Justin Fields all the toys he needs. They're going to upgrade the offensive line. They're going to upgrade the offensive line. They're going to upgrade that pass rusher. Okay. You're going to get him two. If they got Claypool, cool. You got Mooney. They're going to probably try damn hard to get the top receiver, the best receiver they can. Okay.
Okay.
I won't be shocked if they draft one of these Ohio State receivers, if there's one available to them. Okay. I won't be shocked if that's a pick. Then you got Claypool, probably a first-round pick. Okay. Boom. There's your wide receivers, maybe another addition, and you got Mooney. They're going to probably put two new offensive linemen in there, a pass rusher, some type of linebacker, a corner. When they're all said and done, they're going to do all this spending, and they're still going to have $50 million left over probably.
Gotcha. Now here is a NFC West rivalry. The Seattle Seahawks, first place NFC West Seahawks, will face against the Arizona Cardinals. And I know you talk about Kyler Murray as you don't like him as a QB, but Geno Smith should have a game. He should be.
Well, let me say this. The first time that these two teams played, they didn't have Hopkins. Since he's come back, man, Hopkins is putting up his numbers. The division game, but Hopkins will get his numbers and get his yardage. You know, the Seahawks, this will probably be a closer game than the game in Seattle, okay? Which was they only put up, 9 points? The Cardinals did. They're going to put up more than 9 points this week. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. Seattle's just riding the momentum, but Arizona needs this game more.
And possibly Cliff Kingsbury can be fired somewhere this season.
Man, he ain't getting fired, not with that contract extension. The bidwills are too cheap.
That's why they probably don't spend a lot like other teams do.
Well, they spend. It's just I don't see them firing a coach that's got 4 years left on a new deal.
I would kind of like crazy. Then, of course, it's a nationally televised game, the LA Rams against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got to say the Rams needed more than Tampa Bay because I don't know how Tampa Bay lost last week. That's really mind-boggling to me. And the Rams, Matt Stafford looked like he's playing like the Detroit Lions, and the Rams don't even have a running game. And they didn't.
So the loser of this game goes to 3-6.
Let me check. I would say, well, if Tampa Bay lose, they'll be 3-6. If Rams lose, it'll be 3-5.
Oh, because of the bye week?
Right.
This game means more to Tampa Bay right now. Because the Rams are 3-5. Tampa Bay at 3-6. The only thing that's saving them would be playing in that division. Okay, that NFC South right now is not all that good.
Exactly.
Right? Where if the Rams lose, they're 3-5. Right? Or right?
You're right. So if the Rams were to lose, they'll be 3-5, and then if Tampa Bay lose, they'll be 3-6.
If the Rams lose, they're 3-5, but they'd only be like a game behind the 49ers. Or a game and a half, technically. That division's tougher. Whoever loses that game's in a huge trouble spot. And I don't think anybody predicted that these two teams would be 3-4 and 3-5 meeting each other.
Gotcha. So
the loser of this game is probably toast for the season. Or at worst, maybe can crawl into a 7th seed if they're lucky.
Just
like the Packers. The Packers are probably playing for a 7 seed.
And a wild card.
Yep.
Yeah, wild card. Got it. Then you have the Tennessee Titans. They'll be playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the Sunday night football game.
Well, if there's no Ryan Tannehill, it's probably going to be a long night. I'll take the Chiefs.
Okay. Then, of course, Monday Night Football, you have the Baltimore Ravens that when they beat the Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football as they face against the Saints.
Saints got a good defense. Will Mark Andrews play? That's the biggest question.
Right. And Kamara had a performance on Sunday.
And the Saints don't have a quarterback.
As of yet.
If the Saints are done, Michael Thomas is done for the year pretty much. At this point, if the Saints are going to make the playoffs and do something, it's got to be the Alvin Kamara show.
Right, because like I was saying, he had a performance. So if you have him in fantasy football this past Sunday, you were very happy.
Yeah. What can I say? It happens.
Exactly. So we were talking about the World Cups, by the way, which I'm very excited with. And then the sad part about that is like you have to get up like 4 a.m. to even watch it live.
Yep. Well, the first game is actually on Sunday, November 20th at 10 a.m.
So that's not bad.
But after that, once you start getting into those Qatari hours, yeah, you got games at 4 a.m., 6 a.m., 10 a.m., So I'll be getting ready for work and watching soccer and then go to work and stream the rest of it and then get my day handled.
Right, and I'll be able to watch the game on YouTube TV because USA will be playing Wales on the 21st at 2:00. So I'll be able to forward to watching that game.
That's a winnable game for the U.S. Okay, I won't be shocked if that game is a draw. Okay, but that's a winnable game for the United States. Those two teams actually played each other in a friendly, I think, about 6 months ago. Ironically, before the draw was announced, and I believe it was an ugly draw, but it's kind of what I expected. I mean, the U.S. can win that game, but so can Wales. It's a toss-up.
Yeah, like a coin flip.
And if England plays the way it's played the last 8 months, the United States can get a draw out of that game.
Because right now, I'm sweating right out in that game between the U.S. and Wales because
whoever wins that game is probably going to – if somebody wins that game, the winner of that game will probably make it out of the group play. And the loser of that game probably does not advance.
Because that is a match I don't want to miss, especially since 2:00.
I can see this group being like the ugliest group of all the groups at the World Cup. I can just see this group being a bunch of draws and a lot of ugliness. Who's the other team in that group? Wales, England, United States, and
so for Group B is England and Iran for Group B.
Hey, do not sleep on Iran. Okay? Because the last time that these two teams played in the World Cup, guess who won?
Iran.
Yes. Okay? Do not sleep on Iran. Just because they're Iran, dude, Iran makes the World Cup like every other World Cup or so. Okay?
You don't pay attention to it until now.
Iran is not a bad team. I mean, they don't have any like true amazing studs on their team. But dude, they qualified for the World Cup and they're in the same region as Japan, Australia, Saudi Arabia, and they qualified ahead of them. They qualified ahead of Australia. Okay?
Okay.
They qualified ahead of Japan. They won their group. They are not a team to be taken lightly. And I think the U.S. is going to take them lightly. and they're going to be surprised. That's why I said I could see the U.S. getting 3 draws in this group, or they could lose all 3 games, or they could. This group is going to be a group of ugliness. This will not be a very, when you compare it to like other games, it's not going to be as entertaining as some of these other groups.
Gotcha.
It's just, I don't see any of these 4 teams winning the World Cup. Not England. I know you got all these England lovers and everything else, but
Right, because of their soccer tradition and stuff.
this England team ain't ready. It's not ready. Right now, I mean, I can't tell you who my favorite is right now. I'm going to save that for the show.
Right.
But I have a definite favorite right now, barring injury. So we'll save that, and when we do our show on that day with our special guest,
Right.
We'll get to it.
Okay. So now we're going to be doing the Super Draft DFS player props. So you can either play it for free on the Super Draft Pro if you get the Super Draft Pro account, or you can
Super draft.
And you can also play the Super Draft for actual cash, especially here in Michigan. So I'm glad about
Kiznash, that cash, that Kiznash.
Exactly. All right, here's the first one. Quarterback, David Mills, 21 completions.
I'll take the over. They're going to be throwing a lot tonight.
Now, here's another one. Damian Pierce, 67 and a half rushing yards. This should be, not only that's an over, it should be close.
I'll take the over, man. He's really their only weapon tonight.
Exactly. Jalen Hurts, 42 and a half rushing yards.
Normally, I'd say over, but I think they're just going to stomp them. So I'll take the under tonight.
Because the Texans, especially that Texans defense. The next one is A.J. Brown, 5.5 receptions.
Under.
Okay. Then Devontae Smith, 56 and a half receiving yards.
Over.
Gotcha right there. Yeah. Now let's do something different with the college football, but this time will be Oregon and Washington. Yeah, that's a 10:30 game. Anthony Gold, 45 and a half receiving yards.
Over.
Okay. Michael Finks, if I'm saying his name right.
Penix.
Oh, it's Penix? Okay. Penix. 327 and a half passing yards.
Over.
Okay. Jalen McMillan, 62 and a half receiving yards.
Over.
Jalen Polk, 38 and a half receiving yards.
Over.
Rome Odunes, 94 and a half receiving yards.
Over.
All right. So that is it for our show for tonight. And before we close this show, I want to thank Unity Travel 12U Auto for the raffle I won. So I got a lot of craft beers. I have a lot of wine, especially red wine. Thank you for that as well. And I also have a set up barbecue grill.
Oh, one last question, Sean, before the end of the show. When does the new season of basketball announcing start?
New season of basketball?
Basketball announcing, because aren't you
they haven't announced it yet. They haven't announced it yet.
Okay, because then, you'll be covering them against my other favorite new team.
Jamestown Jackals.
Jamestown Jackals.
Exactly. That's a very great name. And as a
matter
of fact, sitting right next to me is called Goslin's Ginger Beer.
Oh.
Exactly. I've been drinking a lot.
That sounds refreshing.
Exactly. I've been drinking a lot of craft beer lately.
That's good. That is good. Yeah, I'm on my way to Culver's, so big shout out to Culver's. Going cheap on those kids' meals, you know it.
And also, I want to give a shout out to Bath and Body Works because I actually got. I never thought it would be a for guys because I have the Ocean, I have the Bourbon, and it's a new product called After Dark.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know.
Ladies gotta like that one. The after dark.
Well, bourbon is like their popular one. So
Well, yeah, bourbon. Men like that brown. I like the brown liquor. But after dark, ladies gotta watch out.
right, and I got the cologne as well. The little small cologne. As a matter of fact, I even got it. So that way, so people will see what it looks like. So this is the bourbon, right? As you can see, because
Man, have we changed from a sports show to a bath and body show? Are we trying to attract?
hey,
Trying to attract the female fans
hey,
here tonight, Sean?
exactly. Well, that'll be a mystery for the yeah, it'll be a hit or miss. All right, so we will see you on Tuesday. By the way, so
Tuesday. Have a good night, everybody.
all right, you guys have a nice and wonderful night. All right, so we are